Alright, class, here we are. What are we doing? We're dealing with the beast. So, where are we at? We got a pile of parts. I didn't see, but I heard that one of my friends mentioned something about cavitation of the oil. That is something that happens. It did not happen in this particular instance. For those of you that don't know, cavitation is actually when basically you get air in oil for one reason or another. There's different reasons that it can happen, but you can get air bubbles in the oil, which obviously then you will not have a thick stream of oil that will protect things. So in this case, like I said, I just didn't have a lot of time this year, and I wasn't going to throw a lot of money at it, even though in the end, buying two used motors and having to deal with them and do all kinds of things, I actually spent more this year and raced about a quarter of what I did the past few years. So it is what it is. You gotta love it. So here's where we're at. We got heads are off over here. You can see I just got a regular old garage here. This is not a big shop. I got all my stuff back here. I'm still building a couple houses, one for us, one to sell. So I got stuff all over the place, unfortunately, piled up. But anyway, we're going to take the gear drive assembly off. And we're going to pull the cam out. We're going to flip it over, pull the pistons, pull the crank, take a look at everything. For the most part, I think those things are okay. But like I said, I did find another billet crank and some rods. Somebody had a special on them someplace. I forget exactly who it was, but a friend of mine orders the parts because he gets deals through his company. So they are billet. There's not a whole lot of difference, really, when it comes down to the actual strength of the metal. Some people will argue that, but I've talked to the guys themselves that are metallurgists and things like that. And when you cast things, it's not much different than when it's billet. So you either have a mold and you pour the hot molten metal in there, or you take a block and you carve it out, which is the only difference between cast and billet. And it all depends on what you started with. What metal did you pour in the cast, or what metal did you start off with for your billet stuff that you ground down? So those are your basic differences. One can be just as good as the other in a lot of cases, but again, people will argue that point, and be my guest. I don't really care. I'm not here to tell you one way or another because I don't know nothing. So I'm just a guy that happens to throw motors together and race sprint cars, and I haven't thrown motors together since I was a kid, since I was in my teens up until early 20s maybe. I did some boat motors and stuff. I used to do a lot of cycle motors and snowmobile motors, but because I'm actually from Wisconsin, but down here in Georgia now. So all right, so I'll try and set the phone out here and try and start running some more video, letting you guys see more of what this stuff takes, since I do it and I guess people are interested in it. So why wouldn't I let you at least see it? Not a whole lot to see, but you've probably seen a million people take this stuff off. But you can see this is all straight gear to gear. One center gear that ties the crank and the cam together. There's a little gear in behind there where those two touch. So those are your basic things. You can see off the front here, this actually runs your water pump, and your oil pump runs off of that. The oil pump actually sticks inside there. So sprint car motor is quite unique. This is the oil pump itself. That shaft goes inside there. So this is what they call a dry sump. So what happens is the oil actually does not just sit in the oil pan. It gets sucked out of those lines right into the oil pump, and then it goes through the oil filter system right there, and it actually gets stored in a can. Your oil can looks like this here. So that's where your oil actually sits instead of in the bottom of the oil pan. So that's the difference between a dry sump and a wet sump. So like I said, I'll see if I can turn this around, see if you guys can see some of this stuff, and I'll break these videos up, and then I'll also put it the full videos on my YouTube channel and stuff. But I break it up on the reels because apparently those are the hot thing, and everybody likes to watch those. So. Got a pretty good view there, I think. Of course, I do things the way that everybody tells you not to and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I do what I want. As we say with my dog, you're not boss lady. This is all silicone together. You got different things you're dealing with all at the same time. Oh, that's what I didn't want to see happen. It's fine. That'll be fine. Now I think you can see it's got this extra gear inside here. Right there that connects the two. And there's actually a bearing that goes on the front of this cam. So there's your bearing. It's got a shim on both sides of it that I just dropped in the cat litter. Oil dry, whatever you want to call it. Actually, another one holding on there too. And a smaller set that goes on the back of it also. And that's actually a pretty important thing. In between this right here, there's actually some shims right in between there. And those shims can be very, very small, but this plate sort of slides back and forth, and you have to put the shims right where that little silver disc is. That's one of the blocks, one of the shims. And they have real small shims that look like washers, but they're all different sizes. You want just a perfect amount of play. You want this cam to be in there, but you want it to have just a little bit of wiggle room. If you don't have a little wiggle room, then things can go bad. That actually happened on one of the other motors that I got earlier this season, and that thing wasn't quite right. I'm not sure how they got away with running it. If they did, I assume they did. They're a bunch of good guys that I trust, so maybe it was me, but I've put a lot of these together now, and I haven't usually had too many problems, but just inspect the cam. You can see a little spot out of that cam right there. A little bit of a spot on the side. I think you can kind of see that from what I can see in the camera. I have a few of these cams though. I've had a couple of these redone, and I think I still have a brand new one also from Crowler sitting at the other shop. So, you know, I've seen Donnie's shop before, and I'll be back there again pretty soon. I got this one piece oil pan gasket. These are nice gaskets. They're worth the money. They're all one piece. You don't lose as much oil in the corners and stuff. I use them multiple times, which is something that a lot of guys don't do, just like the head gaskets. I use these head gaskets. I don't know how many motors I've had those on. But, you know, yeah, I love it. It's the way I roll. Alright. You can hear all the parts falling out. didn't hurt the crank. It's pretty surprising, but this is where the actual failure is. That happened is right there. That rod broke right off. See that? She snapped right off. Bolts held it in there, but that's one of them that was fatigued because of heat. You can see these other ones, how dark brown they are like that. They shouldn't be like that. They should be more silver like this one. See how this one's silver, the one next to it's dark? That's because of the oiling problems that I had this year with another one of these motors. And that obviously created some serious issues, so that sucks, but that's the way it goes. So I bought a brand new pulley puller, and that thing's all but useless. Bought a real nice one with a hydraulic pump and everything. Yeah, well, you go back to the old school one anyway, because that one just won't fit the jaws in some of these places, and just won't do all the little things I need it to do, of course. Sounded great. I always wanted one. And when I get to some other big stuff, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. Who knows? If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any, so, you know, it's just the way it goes. I had one of these from my good crank a while back that I couldn't even get off. Finally got it on the big bench press, and I had to press it out like that. So let's see if this thing wants to cooperate today. Oh yeah, hear that click? That's a good sign. Watch some of my past videos. I used to just do them on my personal page. I think I downloaded a bunch of them. This is See-Deez, which is the same thing it is on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It just doesn't have the dot. It's just See-Deez. I wanted to keep it the same all the way around. Okay, that one rather uneventful. That's nice. So that's the hub. It comes off there. See, Dad just showed up now, so
Did?
he might take over on the video one. He was upstairs having a nap or something. I don't know what he's doing. It's hard to say.
Where are you at?
Just pulled the hub off. I'm going to try and get this timing gear off of this crank, but we'll see how well this goes.
Right.
I'm going to go with not well, but we'll see. That one came off though, so there could be hope.
There's always hope.
No. I don't think so. I think I'm going to have to pull the pistons and crank first, so
Okay.
clean up room for that. Whatever. All that rope says yes. that's the one that gave out right there.
Ooh. Yeah, I haven't seen it since.
You can see all the
Since you
parts.
got it.
Damn, that one broke after the fact.
Which one? This one?
That one.
This one? Alright.
This one, the one that I think let go. That's one of them.
Yeah.
That was dark. See, it just broke it right off. Well, that's the one, I think that one broke after this was all foobarred. And that one got, when it got wedged in there.
Yeah.
I was just doing hot laps. I was just kicking it up there. I was probably hitting 6,500 RPM at that time.
Yeah.
When she let go, but that was enough, I guess.
Right.
Now I know.
Do you think it was just because those got hot?
Yeah, I think it's because of the fatigue.
Yeah.
That they were under. Yeah, it's a lesson, so it is what it is. But Donnie ordered another crank and set of rods, and he's got the pistons on the way too, because this one was never bored over, so this is technically only a 350. It's not a 360. So we're gonna go ahead and punch it out like it should be. Old junk. The bearings were doing their job. Everyone was doing his job. It didn't have an oiling problem this time. The crank don't look bad.
Yeah, the oil pressure was there, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah, after we got that cap corrected. All this stuff is just trash. The only thing that might be worth saving is the pistons, but they're old school pistons, and it just didn't have the power that it should have. Stuff that you got from that other guy, that old guy. That technology's gone a long way since then.
Right.
I won't run any of this stuff, all this junk. Not trying any of that again.
New oil pan. So fuck that oil pan.
Yeah. Well, it's working.
I know, but that thing was expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These things are really expensive.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, that was absolute carnage.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen worse out of this motor. No, not this motor. That'd be motor one actually, but still, same difference.
Right.
See, those rings are still just not a fan of that. They're great rings. So part of what I'm talking about is that I'm using total seal rings, because my guy swears by them, and I think that they're great for certain applications. But I do wonder, with this thing spinning as many RPMs as it does, how much those rings are slowing the motor down. If you're slowing the motor down, then you're creating undue strain on things. So I feel like every one of these, except when I put the stock block together that I got, it's the only one that came with its own, so I didn't buy rings or put new rings on it. Every other one that I ran this year, the 4 different times or whatever I've done this year, all had those total seal rings in it. And even just feeling them now after running it as much as we did to break it in, and then running it at the track, and then running hot laps, at least most of the hot laps until the last. Well, no, actually this one went right away, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we didn't even get much in there. I just feel like, I just don't know. I just feel like it's slowing it down too much and making it work harder than it should have. I shouldn't have set that. I'm beginning to think that that's. When I order the pistons, they don't send them with total seals. They send them with a different ring. That's G&E is who I get pistons from. A lot of good pistons out there, but see this one, you can see it again. See that dark spot? It's all light up here and it's really dark down there where it got really hot when I had oil issues. You can see there, everything was nice and smooth, everything had plenty of oil. That was stuff was not the problem this time. Crank's still spinning nice and free. Probably just hold her down and throw a new set of rods in her with some pistons and call her good.
Yeah, look at that thing. Did you show that?
Yeah, yesterday. That you can show the camera that again. It don't matter.
Look at that. That's pretty awesome. That's done some damage.
Well, you said it pretty well with your total carnage earlier.
Carnage. It was.
And that's about as total carnage as you can get right there. Unfortunately. See, all my ring stuff worked out.
Yeah.
All my rings have been loose. This is actually the bad piston that I had to do all that work on. You can see all the marks around the sides of it where the last time that it got eaten up. But see, those rings are actually moving, and this is the one that did not go. So that tells you right there that I had the rings okay.
Yeah.
For some for some craziness that you should never try. If I would have had a halfway decent set of rods, I don't think I would have had that problem. Oh yeah, took some nicks out of the block right there too. That's the difference. That's one thing I have is some good blocks, at least this one and another one. These are Dart little M blocks. And if you're gonna do this kind of stuff, when you break stuff is when it counts. GM block, standard GM 350, you would have ate that thing, especially where it ate up on the block like that. You would have ate that entire block. It would have just disintegrated. But these things are built really thick. They're actually heavier than a GM block. And it would have not gone so well if I didn't have this. Look. Pop these main caps off, even though right now, I tell you, that thing is actually doing really well.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Actually, she was really free. She's really happy. That's a good sign. This crank's actually usable. So we'll put one of the other motors together with it. Got another crank laying over there still that I gotta get turned. And I ate earlier this year, so. Remember to bring one of those chargers here. I forgot to grab it out of the bus, out of the trailer. too. These heads are so good too, but. Let go. Bearings look pretty good, actually.
It didn't mess up the heads?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, it did.
On one of the valve stems?
Yeah, smacked one of the valves.
Yeah.
I think the head will be okay, but it did smack a valve. Not much, but I can see it's not seating all the way up there, so I'll have to put some work into those. I have one other set, maybe two. I forget what I got going on. More junk everywhere than I want to have, but. Bearings actually look good, so was no oiling issue this time, but okay, so that's all, so this should be ready to hop on. Very not bad. She shouldn't be, but you never know what gets run through them. Unfortunately, all this is going to have to come on all the plugs and everything, because frost plugs and everything, because it's got to go to the machine shop this time. Rings after that piston haywire. Knocked it just a little bit down here, but that'll be below the ring line, so even if we can't bore that out past that, it's below that area, so it'll be alright. Alright, well, what I'm gonna do is pop the cam bearings out and pull some more plugs and stuff, but I got that tool over at Donnie's shop. Donnie's got that tool, I should say, 'cause I have one of those yet, or anymore, or however you want to say that. So that's a wrap. We'll take it to the machine shop. I'll show you some of the new parts sometime here soon. Should be coming in, and start showing you some of the process of starting from scratch with a new cam and rods and pistons. Once it all comes in, we'll get it all weighed up, get the crank balanced, get everything done, and ready to rock. And we'll be all set for either December or January. There's a race over in Volusia, 360 race in December, but likely it'll be the January one, the opening of the USCS that we will be ready for. And everybody better be prepared,
Yeah.
because you're gonna see these nuts that day. Let me tell you what,
Alright.
we'll be out.